Doesn't matter how hot the market is, it does happen. And when it happens in your neighborhood, you try to figure out what is going on here. Why is that house not selling? And it happens regardless of how hot the market is. And so let's talk about why houses sit on the market, because it does happen, and it happens unfortunately all the time. What are the most common reasons as to why? I want to hear your thoughts as well. I want to know, why do you think a house sits on the market? If you think that I am right about any of these, if you think I'm wrong about any of these, please let me know. Thinking about relocating to the Silicon Valley? Well, I've got just the thing for you. My team and I have actually taken the time to create the ultimate relocation guide, which is meant to save you hours of research. And I've linked it down below. From top employers to best hospitals and a boatload of other things that you need to know before making the move. The best part is that this guide is 100% free. That's right, you heard me right, 100% free. Just click the link in the description or the top pinned comment. Hope that helps. Hope you're having a wonderful day. So when a house sits on the market, it's so often going to be one of these different things that I talk about. Sometimes it's one of them that kind of oversteps everything else, and you'll probably have a pretty good idea by the time I get to the end of it. If you've ever talked to most agents, most realtors, most people I think do know this, but I'll actually tell you at the very end as to which one tends to be the one that makes it the most common thing when the house is not selling. There's typically one thing that stands out that's most common. Let's start with number one, the price. The price of a home. Sellers sometimes aim too high. It's interesting because you don't look at a home necessarily the same way that you look at other commodities. A home is looked at differently. Now, I will say this too, it's going to be in different markets. Specifically, what I'm talking about is Silicon Valley. That's where I sell homes. That's where I really understand the market. And that's what I'm talking about specifically. Homes, when they're overpriced, they are going to sit for longer. If a house is overpriced above the market value, it's likely to sit. Even if the market's booming, it doesn't matter. It can certainly still sit. Number two, poor marketing and photos. In Silicon Valley, first impression does happen online so often. It's very rare that you actually see a home, you walk into it, and that's the first time that you've seen it. So if the photos and if the marketing is not done properly, so often that can make a huge issue for the marketing of that home. If the photos aren't done properly, if the marketing is not done properly, there are some certain specific things that we do in Silicon Valley to make sure that the house looks proper and that the photos are done properly as well. Number three, the staging isn't good, it's not staged, or it's showing in poor condition. Buyers do expect a move-in ready home. They expect a turnkey home. And so if the home doesn't look as it could, if there's an issue with the home, if there is some deferred maintenance with the home, those things tend to stand out. And so that is certainly going to be something that's very important. When a home doesn't show well, and when somebody goes into the home, when a buyer goes to look at the home, if the home doesn't show well, it's okay. The home does not have to be completely updated. That's not necessary. But the home does have to be presentable. It has to be presentable in a way that when you walk into that house, it has to really look very neutral as possible. Many times, if a home isn't selling, it can be because when you walk into that house, it's not neutral. There is furniture that's there from the seller's still living in the home. That is actually a very common issue with a home that's been sitting on the market. If the home is occupied, that can create an issue because it's going to be, when a buyer wants to go look at the home, they want to just go look at the home. And there's some layers to that as well. The agent has to set the appointment to go look at the home, or the buyer has to set the appointment to go look at the home. Somebody has to set that appointment. And so if that's not structured very well, that's going to create an issue in timeline also. Let's say there's 5 other houses I can go look at, and as a buyer, if I walk into this home, it's owner occupied, it's the same price as everything else, and it was difficult to get in the home in the first place, what kind of nightmare is it going to be to get back to that home? There's other houses on the market. If that's the case, that's how you're going to look at that. Hey guys, it's Sam Spinella. As much as I love making these videos, there's one thing I love more, and that's helping families and people from all over the US make the move here to Silicon Valley. I've helped countless families make that move. So whether you're coming out next week, next month, or next year, don't hesitate to reach out. My contact information is right here on the screen and linked in the description in case you miss it on the screen pop-up. I look forward to helping you and your family make the move to Silicon Valley. Number 4, location challenges. This can certainly be an issue as well. It can be next to a busy street, it can be near a construction site, it can have poor school ratings. These factors can certainly have an impact to the buyer as well. If it's in a poor location, that's going to add to it as well. Number 5 is going to be the market conditions. If you're talking about the market conditions, even in Silicon Valley, if the market shifts and a home is sitting on the market, that market shift is going to make it even more difficult for that home and even more difficult for people to come and look at the home. Because now it's been on the market for longer, and if it's been on the market for longer, that's going to make it's what we call a stale listing. So if it's been on the market for longer and it's a stale listing, people already have the thought in their mind of, well, it's been on the market for so long. What's wrong with it? Should I really go look at that? And then on top of that, if you say, well, I have to set an appointment to go look at it, the pictures don't look that great. You know what? I think I'll just pass. For us, Silicon Valley, one of the things that we do, and it's very important for sellers, is we'll do the inspections up front. And the reason for that is because there is so much of it that's done online. The first impression in Silicon Valley truly is online. And so many times if I'm working with a buyer or a seller, the next step after they look at the home online and then after they look at the inspections online, at that point they want to go look at the home. Buyers see it that way. The sellers, from the seller's perspective, the seller wants to do the inspections up front, so they have the inspections ready and available. What we don't want is a contingency for the inspection of the home from the buyer. Really, as a seller, it puts you into a bad position because once that is done, the issue then becomes that the cards are really up to the buyer to play. All of the cards are in the buyer's hand. They can then make the next move as to they don't want the home because a sidewalk that has a lip to it is a tripping hazard. Well, you saw that sidewalk as you were walking up. That's not an issue, but maybe something else came up. But one of the biggest reasons, and really the biggest reason, that a home will sit on the market is simply going to be because the price is too high. If the price is too high, buyers are programmed to understand that the seller has put the offer price at a lower number and they're expecting to get more than that because of the multiple offers. That tends to be how it is in Silicon Valley. Regardless of how crazy the market is, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the price. And then on top of that, if you take the price and you take that it's owner occupied and the pictures weren't done that well and it's difficult to get into the house and they're asking more than the house next door that just sold for 1.4 and they're asking 1.45, that is just an avalanche of issues for that house. And all of a sudden, before you know it, the house has been sitting for 6 months. And there actually are reasons as to why the house has been sitting for so long. So make sure that when you do price your house or when you're looking for the home, make sure that you talk to your agent. You can always feel free to give me a call. I'm always happy to help however I can. But make sure that you talk to your agent about what's the best strategy for this area, what's the best strategy for my house, what's the best strategy right now. It can change week to week and month to month and definitely year to year. So there's always a strategy that you want to work on and work moving forward into selling your home. If your house is not selling, don't panic. It's about the right strategy. Make sure that you come up with the right strategy with your agent. If you don't have an agent to work with, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always here and happy to help. But it's all about the strategy. It's about creating that strategy, making it work properly. And again, it could be a different area, it could be a different week, it could be a different month, different day, sometimes a different hour. You never know. but it's very important to come up with the right strategy for your home when you're selling your home. It's all about that strategy. Like, share, subscribe. Please always feel free to reach out. I'm always here and happy to help. Talk to you soon.